Hey everyone, Chang here and welcome to my channel. This is the Bare Minimum Algebra series and today we are going to focus on finding the slope of a line. So, in order to find the slope of a line, there's actually two ways that you can go about it. The first one is your slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept formula, however you want to call it. It's commonly seen in the format of y equals mx plus b, where m stands for slope, b stands for the y-intercept. Plain and simple. So that is one way, and the best way to go about it is if you're given a formula or an equation. Once you solve for y, usually you have it in this kind of format. You can immediately tell which one is the slope. The second way is called point-point formula, which is something I newly heard because I've always known of it as the slope formula, but apparently some people call it point-point formula, which I can't debate on because that's kind of what it is, right? So it's a slope formula and it requires 2 points. So there's your m. I don't know why they use m, but they use m for slope, right? And you have y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. The y2, y1 are the two coordinates for the 2 points. The y coordinates, right? And then you have your x2 and x1, which is the x coordinates for the 2 points. Make sure you plot them in the specific order. If you're using this one as y2, the one next to it is x2. If you're using y1, the one next to it is x1. Now, you don't have to worry about whether one number is bigger or smaller or whatsoever. Just make sure that whichever one you choose as your y2, y1, x2, x1, right? You are consistent. So let's see how you can actually go about finding the different slopes. All right, so this is the first example. Now, usually when they're asking you to find a slope and they give you an equation, it's not going to be solved for you, right? Because, you know, as instructors, we're kind of mean like that. We want the students to actually work for the answer. So, same as always, right? Here is an equation, not solved, but you guys can actually go about and solving it, and you'll figure out what the slope is almost immediately. Now, if you guys aren't sure on how to solve linear equation, especially for y, definitely look at my other videos. I have one step-by-step on how to go about it, right? So here's our y. We want to isolate it, everything else on the other side. Now, there is a way to go about it that's fairly simple, right? You can actually just subtract y, and technically y is on the other side. Just be very careful because that's a negative y, then you got to convert everything to negative, right? Which is great. I usually like to, if y is positive, I keep it positive. I move everything else on the other side. So these are two things that's bothering y, so I'm going to get rid of this guy and this guy. Do the opposite. This is a positive 4x, so I'm going to subtract 4x, and what you have to do to one side, you have to do to the other. So now you have y minus 2 equals negative 4x, right? If you're savvy, you already can see what the slope is, but for the sake of, you know, completeness, just completely solve for y. So it's going to be plus 2. And then we're going to have to be plus 2 right here. This goes away. And then now we have y equals negative 4x plus 2. Remember that the first way was the slope-intercept format, right? Y equals mx plus b. Y equals m is the number in front of x. So hence our slope is negative 4. And of course you have your b, which is your y-intercept. And it's right there, number 2, right? All right, so that's how you would use the first way of finding a slope. The second way to finding a slope requires that you have 2 points. Here's your 2 points. Remember that the point-point formula, or basically what I known as the slope formula, m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, right? Pick any one of them. Usually I just go from left to right. So I would usually start this one as x1, y1, x2, y2, right? Plain and simple, and I plug it in. So that would be 6 minus 4, right? 6, 4, and then it's going to be 3 minus 1, right? So once again, because I said this is y2, this must be x2, vice versa. If I say this is x1, this must be y1. Don't swap it around or you're going to mess it up, right? So there it is, y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1, that is 2 over 2, which is 1. Now here's what I want to show you. Ignore these little formatting right now. what if I change it, right? Instead of this one, x1, y1, x2, y2, if I choose this one to be x2, y2, and this one right here to be x1, y1, right? We can still do it. It's going to be 4 minus 6 over 1 minus 3, right? Notice that I have to keep the 2's together and the 1's together, and that's going to be negative 2 over negative 2. That still equals 1. So it doesn't matter which one you choose first, just make sure that whichever one you choose as your x1, then one next to it is your y1, which one you choose as your x2, the one next to it is your y2. All right, so there you have it. That is how you would find the slope of a line. Keep in mind there's two possible scenarios. The first one, they give you an equation, solve for y. The coefficient in front of the x is your slope, right? The slope-intercept form. The second one is if they give you 2 points. If they give you 2 points and they want you to find the slope, then guess what? You use the point formula or the slope formula, which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Don't mix up the order, and then usually you're good to go. So you know which one you can use or you should use based on what they give you. If they give you an equation, it's the first method, slope-intercept form. If they give you 2 points, it's the second method, the point formula or the slope formula. All right, hopefully that made it as clear as possible. Of course, there are special variations that I will eventually go over, but other than that, that's how you would find the slope of a line. Thank you for watching. If you haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe. I will see you in the next video.